Hi everyone and welcome to topic 4. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and review some key concepts. So first of all, phonological awareness. I know when we think of phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, and phonics, it gets easily confused. So I have included a video in your announcements that hopefully will do a great job of clarifying these three terms that get very often confused. But I just want to bring some attention to you, and I just want you to really remember that with phonological awareness, which is what we start in those younger grades, it's really about just listening and saying sounds. And it's these first few steps here that breaking a sentence into words, breaking the syllables in a sentence, the rhyming of words, the onset. And as we move through this phonological awareness, we go into these next steps of initial, final sounds, the leading sounds, segmenting, blending. These 4 steps are the phonemic awareness process. And this up here, as you can see, this phonemic awareness process, I just want you to remember that phonemic awareness is a subset of phonological awareness. And again, with those two, with phonological and phonemic, there is only hearing it and saying it. We are not seeing the words. We are not seeing the letters. We don't see that until phonics. And when we go into phonics, phonics then becomes that letter recognition, the letter sound correspondence, and then and really being able to put those words or those letters into words using those sounds and then reading them. That's part of our decoding. The next section that is really key in reading, really key in decoding, is orthographic mapping. And so I want you to look here at this image, orthographic mapping. So what does this really mean? Well, I also included a video that was also in your topic 3 resources. So hopefully you watched it. If you didn't, it's going to be in this announcement. And it discuss, this video is really great on showing you why it is important to, when you teach sight words, not to do the sight words of here's the words and memorize them or drill the students on them, but to really help with the orthographic mapping. And orthographic mapping is really about looking at these letters, the sequence of letters, and ortho meaning correct, graphy meaning the written part. So the correct form of writing these, the phonology, the sounds, and the lexicon is part of our language. What do we interpret as the language? So here we have these letters that together we see how they form these sounds. So map, and then the P, 2 P's to make that sound when you add the ing, mapping. So this is the orthography, this is the phonology, and then you have your lexicon. We just say mapping and we can automatically envision what that is. So we want to be able to present sight words to students, but give them how we are saying them, show them why these letters make those sounds. So for example, if we have the word see, as in I see, we have S, E, E, and we show the students those letters and we say, okay, the first sound makes that sound. The second sound is an E and it's a vowel pair. Your brain starts to automatically connect these letters and sounds and recognize them. That way you can write later on, you can start seeing those parts of words in other words and decode them much easier. Think about if I gave you a list of words to memorize for sight words, you probably could do it, but can you honestly memorize 30,000 words? And 30,000 words or more is what we have in our own brain as sight words that we have built from this orthographic mapping to be able to read. And that's why when you read, you're not sounding out letter by letter. You're reading really fluently because we already have these words ingrained in our brain through orthographic mapping. The other way to remember orthographic mapping is think of traveling. If you were going from wherever you are at right now to, let's say, Disneyland or Disney World in Florida, you would need a map. And you would need to find how to get there through that map. It would give you the visual. You know what you're going to because you can say it, but it gives you the visual of how to get there. The more you see the map, the more you drive that route. If you did it every week for maybe 4 times in a week, you would definitely know how to get there by yourself. And that's really the other point of orthographic mapping, that with 4 times showing it, 4 to plus or minus 1, showing the students a word and the way that the sequence of letters make those sounds and form that word, they start to remember that word. They start to remember automaticity, that automatic reading of that word. So the more you use a map, the more you use that map to get to a location, you then no longer need that map. You can find your way there. All right, so orthographic mapping, really valuable for decoding. Now we're going to go into our next one. I want to show you here a quick little activity that could be done with students. So we're going to graph the sounds. We're going to do some orthographic mapping. But first, we're going to start with some phonology, right? We start with just, let's hear the word. So what is the word? And then the students would go ahead and select the speaker, and the word would be read to them, and it would say the word is beach. Then in number 2, we're going to do some phonetic awareness, and let's tap out the sound. So we have b, e, ch, 3 sounds. Then from there, we're going to map the word. We're going to go ahead and we're going to just touch each of the circles. So we have b, e, ch. And then we're going to map it. And the way we map it is we see here in this graph here, we have b. This is the sound for e in this double vowel pair. And then we have the ch. So again, we're writing this is the digraph. The digraph, ch, right? 2 letters, 1 sound. So now then the students can then map it, see it, we're practicing it. And as we show them more often, okay, this is b, e, ch, beach, b, e, ch, beach. And they see this, they pronounce it, they say it. We look at those sounds and letter correspondence. We are looking at it. So orthographic mapping has to be looking at that word. At least 4 times that we show this to them and do this with them, they'll remember this by sight and can start graphing these sounds in their brain. So let's go on to the next section. So here's a quick little visual, right? A 6 syllable types graphic organizer but anchor chart that you could use to help you remember and then also use it in your classrooms. The 6 syllable types. So number 1, always remember that in each syllable, there has to be a vowel. And we always think about syllables as breaking up the word. That's how we learned it, right? 1 syllable word, we have cat. 2 syllable words, we have cupcake. But honestly, what this is doing when we explain syllables to students, the reason why we're breaking the word up into syllables is that we remember that each syllable has to have a vowel. And the syllable type tells us how to say the vowel, what sound the vowel is making. If the vowel is short, it's going to be the a, e, a, e. If the vowel is long, it's going to say a, e, I, o, u. And then also if the vowel is a schwa, which we're going to talk about in just a bit. So here we have again closed syllable words. They don't have to start. Please don't get that confused. They don't have to start with a consonant. They just have to end with a consonant after the vowel. So that will make this vowel short, like in rabbit, or the word at. Doesn't start with a consonant, but it ends in a consonant. So A-T, at. We have the at. Open syllable. There's no consonant after the vowel. The vowel is open all by itself, so it's going to make a long sound, like in robot. Row, and then bot. There's a consonant, so there, the second syllable is closed. Or the vowel consonant E, which is the magic E or the silent E. We have close vowel here, which is cup, closed syllable, and then that magic E or silent E, which makes cake. Vowel team syllables, two vowels together will make, one vowel does the talking, the other one does the walking. Or a vowel digraph, that's another name for it. We have EA, which is going to make that E sound, so that's T. And then your second one here, your second syllable is closed, so it makes the sound. So cup, teacup. Control R. The control R is anytime that you have those vowels with an R, it's going to make that sound or R sound. So we have burr, gur, we have the and the sound there. Consonant LE syllables, we have a consonant, the consonant B here, with the LE. So we have the first part here. It's not a magic E. That's not why this A says A. It's because it's open. There's no vowel after it. So it's table. And this is the L. So whatever the syllable is, whatever the consonant is plus the L. So it'll be bull or cull or tull. It just depends on what that consonant is after the LE. So these syllable types are helpful and also then helps us know how to say the vowels, but also we need to know how to mark those vowels. So this is a video that I will include in your resources as well. This is how to mark the vowels, and as you see, it's made for kids. But it's very useful for you to know that this is how we mark the vowels. So when you have a line, which is a macron meaning this is where we split the word. This is going to be open. This is closed. So it's A and A, macron. So macron is going to be long vowels. So A, E, I, O, U. Then we have let me move myself here. We have the brevi. So it's also cut right here. So this is open and open. So brevi symbol, which is the symbol like a smile, that is going to let us know that it's a short vowel. So it's going to make the ah or those sounds. And then we have I'm going to go to the schwa at the end, but this is let me move myself again here. This is the engma, and this makes the ng sound, the ng sound together, and it looks like an N with a little hook, so it makes that ng sound, like in Japan. Now I'm going to schwa. Not in Japan, sorry, like in think, where you do the ing, okay? And then we have the schwa. So the schwa, to mark a vowel, the schwa is this upside down E. And what the schwa does, it makes the vowel say like an sound. Instead of their actual short vowel sound, they'll make an like a U, like an sound. Like in Japan, for example, Japan, it's going to be, it's not Japan, it's J, So that's an schwa, Japan. And the last syllable is a. So you can watch this video and to get more words, to give you examples and clarify that for you. So now we go into a strategy that I was providing for all of you on how to help teach this to your students. It's called the spot and dot. And what you do is you go ahead and, let me go ahead and move these directions here. You would dot the two vowels, dot the vowels in a word. So you would dot the vowels. Let me see if I can get this in here. There we go. And then what you do after that is you make a line with the vowels. You connect those vowels. And I'm sorry here that I'm doing it all crooked because I'm going fast. But then you're going to circle the consonants that are around those vowels. And then that's what you split it right between. So this here would be a split right there. And then these two here. So I would split it right here. And I'm going to rewrite the word for you so you can see it clearly. So this word here would be like that, split like that. Oh, sorry. There we go. And split again. And that split right there shows us that it's a closed syllable, closed syllable, closed syllable. Therefore, when we would decode this, we know that this would make an ah sound, an ah, and an I. So it would be hobgoblin, hobgoblin. Okay, so this is just one way, and actually your actual resource that I'm providing you is going to be attached to your announcements as well. And when you go into this, you can see that you have, let me go into here, it gives you all the directions, and it also has that schwa. Anything with an asterisk tells you that one of the vowels is going to be a schwa sound, which is going to be the sound. So you can have this here to instruct your students. So now let's go ahead and go into fluency and our assignment expectations. Okay, so topic 4, fluency. As you can see right here, you have a visual of your objectives for you. So now let's go ahead and go into this. So we're not going to be able to do this because we're online, but I want you to think about round robin, popcorn reading, and comeback reading. Those three. Round robin really is when you assign reading to everybody in your class. For example, you're going to read a passage and you say, okay, or a paragraph, and you're going to say, you're going to read for line 1, you're going to read line 2, Timmy's going to read line 3, so and so, and you're doing that. Everybody has something they're reading. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I know that you might see this in your practicum classes, but do not do this. The research has been shown that that is not effective. One, most of the students are just focusing on answering their own, on reading their own part and not paying attention to anything else that's going on ahead of them. Popcorn reading is another one. Popcorn reading is where you have all the popsicles with students' names and you're picking, oh, so-and-so, you read the next one. And then you pick again. Okay, so-and-so, now you read this. Again, that's very stressful for students and it's not helping them to really read and focus on their reading. Combat reading is another one where instead of you as a teacher picking, the students are picking their own friends. Like, I'll say, okay, Tommy, you start reading. Tommy starts reading, and then I say, okay, Tommy, now pick someone else to read. When they do that, it's called comeback reading because sometimes what happens is they can go ahead and look for the students who are not paying attention, look for the students who are having trouble reading, and it could be very negative. It also could be just an out to get you instead of really helping out their classmates. So we're not going to do that one. Echo reading and choral reading are great strategies for fluency. Echo reading is, let me go ahead and read it, and then you're going to be my echo and read it the same way I did. It's a great way to model for students. Choral reading is another way. I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then we're going to all read it just like a choir, right? We're all going to read it together in the same pace, in the same tone, in the same intonation and prosody that we can. And prosody means with the same expression. So let's go ahead and look at some text here. And I wanted to show you this. So this is the activity I wanted to see if you could do it on your own. So try to time yourself, try to read this out loud. And then as you start reading it, go ahead and when you're done, think about what you understood. Think about, was it hard for you to understand? So you can go ahead and pause the video now and take a minute or two to read it. Once you have done reading it, if you are ready to start, I want you to think, how does the word recognition influence your fluency? So what words did you recognize that help you with your fluency? How did fluency or disfluency affect your comprehension? And what can you do to help students become fluent readers? So as you have probably come to realize is that the words you are not fluent in, let's go back to this text. So this text here, with these words that you are not fluent in, it's definitely going to impede your fluency because you're so busy trying to decode them. How do you say this? So I know this is per, so per, selenium, and you're doing so much of that it really takes away from your fluency and definitely affects your comprehension. So we don't want to do that to students. We don't want to throw in text that's too difficult for them. So what we want to do to help with fluency is there's 6 strategies that we want to, not 6 strategies, sorry, 6 things we want to emphasize. So here we go. Number 1, model oral reading. We need to model the right way that we want our students to read, with the right tone, the right speed, and the right inflection and stopping at each period and punctuation marks, so with the right expression. Number 2, provide explicit instruction. Be very clear on how and when you want students to pause, how you want them to read certain questions, how you want them to maybe read the sentence first quietly, make sure you know all the words, and then start reading when you know. So be very explicit about the reading instruction. Number 3, offer opportunities to read. So you want to offer as many opportunities for them to read. So I'm going to read this text, then you're going to echo read it. Then we're going to all choral read the text. Then we're going to read it silently. Then I'm going to have you read it with a partner. Then we're going to have you read it as a table group. The whole point is that you're reading many times the same article. You're offering many opportunities to read what you're the text at hand. And then 4, supply appropriate text. Again, with the text that we read just a couple of minutes ago, or a few slides ago, with the science words, it was a paper on plants, but that was way too high for us. And we don't want to do that to students either. We want to pick appropriate text. Also, let's not pick science or social studies because those are informational. You want to pick literature because that has a different way that we can read different tones. And 5, guided student reading. We want to guide our students in how to read. So we do want that small group instruction. We want to go ahead and have them read and then just give them those feedbacks and prompting like, okay, now I want you to stop and reread that. Remember, that's a question mark. How would you read that when it's asking a question? Very good. I like the way that you sounded that word out. Now read it the way you're supposed to read it, like if you were talking. So you want to guide your students in all of the reading process. And the last step is monitor students' reading. We definitely have to monitor. That means we're going to have to assess and see if they're making improvements in their accuracy, in their rate, and in their prosody, and also in their comprehension. So let's go on to our next section here. So now let's go ahead and look here at fluency. So when we look at fluency, what are we really listening for? What are we really looking for in our students? So one is accuracy. We want the students to be able to decode correctly and at a good pace. So that's that rate. We want them to read a certain amount of words per minute correctly. So with rate, we don't mean speed as in we want them to read really fast, but we want them to read at the appropriate speed. Then we go into expression. So I'm going to go ahead and include this article in your resources as well. This is for parents, but there's great information here for you. It's just a quick one little page here regarding what reading fluency is. Speaks about accuracy, the speed or the rate, expression, and then comprehension, obviously, because that's if they can read fluently, the whole goal is for them to understand. And then it gives you some tips for parents at home, some strategies and some information for parents to know about reading fluency. So it can help you with conferences, giving some parents feedback. Okay, let me go here into the next section. So one of the things that we want to work on as well in fluency is that we want to be able to assess our students. So how do we assess them in accuracy? How do we assess them in rate? And then also comprehension. So when we assess for accuracy, we can look at the words that they're getting correctly, decoding correctly. With rate, certain amount of words that they're reading per minute, and then obviously with comprehension some questions. So I'm going to show you this section here on decodable text, and this is a great bit of information here that they provide you with many decodable texts. And decodable texts are text that is easy for the students to decode based on their skill level. So on here, it'll give you some explanation on how to use it, and you'll have all of this in your resources. But you want to definitely graph and progress monitor your students. So here you would put the name of the student. You might be able to do it per minute, how many words per minute they're reading. You would put the dates here, and then, you can color code where they're at and also set goals with them. The table of contents, as you can see here, here's all the skills, depending on what skill your students are working on, and then the passage titles and the pages. So let's look at some of these skills. This one here is Fluency number 1, short A. And as you can see, it is all short A words. The numbers here are the number for how many words. So here up to, if they read all the way up to here, it's 30 words per that minute. And then what you do is you deduct minus any words that they have incorrect. You also can show this to the students and have how many words they read, the total errors they made, total correct words, and then you can even share with the parents as part of communication with them. Then the comprehension section is just that, questions regarding what they read. So let's look at this. Let's say that the student was reading this and you're timing them and you're looking not just for the rate but for the accuracy. So when they read this and they say the bad man, well, if they said bad, you would cross that word out, and what you would do is let me go ahead here. You would go ahead and cross that word out and then type up here what they said right, or write it out. So you would do bad. That way it helps you to know what they are doing. Are they decoding wrong? Are they just guessing at that first, I know my initial letter and then I'm just going to read or guess the rest. So that's how you do it. So let's say they get to the end here, they read 8 words, minus this one, they only read 7. If they got all the way up to this level here, 22, but they didn't read this one correct, that would still be 21 words, and so forth. So this is how you would go ahead and mark for that accuracy. You're trying to see how many words correctly are they reading in a certain amount of time. So let's go back in here into our Nearpod. And on here, we go into our next level. Let me go ahead and... So now we look at this, oops, sorry about that. So we look at this level here and we think about how do we then assess our students for prosody, for that intonation, that stopping at this period, that expression in their voice. So the best way to assess our students for prosody or the expression in their tone would be to use a rubric. So let me show you some of those rubrics that are available. I'm going to show you this one in just a bit too. So here is a rubric that we could use. And this is a little bit, I think it's a little too much, but it's a good way to show you at real specific sections. So pausing. Are they pausing at the right sections? Reflects on punctuation and meaning of the text. What about phrasing? Almost all of this reading appropriately in the phrase. Intonation, almost all of the reading, evidence variation in voice or tone, the pitch, reflects the meaning of the text. So this is really looking at all of the points of fluency in there. And then obviously you have rate as well. Here we have another rubric oral reading for prosody, and this is a 4-point rubric right here. And this one here is really with the focus for older students. So you can see again, level 1, they would get a 1 if they're reading primarily word by word. Occasionally 2 or 3 word phrases may occur, so they're getting that still that 1. They can get a 4 if they're reading primarily in larger meaningful phrase groups, although some in regression repetition, but they're still reading in larger groups of phrases. Most of the story is read with expressive interpretation. And then let's look at another one here. Let me see. So what I'm going to show you here, and I'm going to try to attach also the zip drive to your resources, is here there's Fluency rubrics from 2nd all the way to 6th grade. So we'll look at a 2nd grade one. And this is a little bit easier and user-friendly for prosody. So again, reads primarily in large meaningful phrase groups. You can read the rest here. They'll get a 4. This is also accuracy and also the automaticity, the automatic way of reading those words. And this one here, they would get a 1 if they read primarily word by word, occasionally 2 words or 3 words. And then again, they give you the fluency passages, automaticity, words read correctly in 1 minute, accuracy rate, total words read, total minus the errors, divided by the words read times 100, and that gives them their that percentage fluency. So you can use all of these. Like I said, this is for 2nd grade, and it's looking at prosody. Okay, so with that being said, let's look at the assignment now. Okay, so here is your syllabus. I want to first make sure you know where to find this. Your fluency assignment. So you have 2 things you're going to look at. You have your case study. You're going to download that. That's going to be the case studies we're going to look to do the assignment. And then after those case studies, you're going to look at this fluency strategies, and that's where you're going to put your answers in. And then there's also one more thing. Great places to look for reading strategies for fluency is right here in this Reading Rockets article. And we'll look at all of those. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and show you this. In here we have your case studies. We're going to read through these case studies. You're going to read about Mary, Emma, and Daniel. They're all 3rd grade. So each one of them, yes, they all have to read their grade level appropriately and fluent, right? But here is, so I know that they're given goals here, but you need to really think about going beyond those goals when you're writing your answers. So here it says Mary is a 3rd grader and is a small private school. It is the beginning of the 2nd semester of the school year. And assessment data show that Mary is still having difficulty with decoding multisyllabic words, as are many of her classmates. That key word right there, as those keywords, I should say, as many of her classmates, indicates that she's not behind. She's struggling just like the other students are in that class. Then it says the students are struggling with an important reading skill that will be assessed at the end of the school year and that will be important for success for the following years. Mr. Brown's Mary's teacher has decided to implement a strategy each day that will assist all the students. Many include in reaching the following goal. Given multisyllabic words, students will decode them accurately and with ease. So right there, I'm going to, this is not an out to get you. I want to help you. So with this assignment for Mary, it really is about decoding that accuracy. She needs to read with accuracy. So we want to help her with decoding. That's really her goal. When you go down to the second one with Emma, we have Emma is a shy 3rd grader. That's key right there. That's one key. Who is struggling with academic subjects that require significant reading. Assessment data shows that Emma is able to read sight words and decode most of the multisyllabic words she encounters. So decoding is not an issue for her. She's pretty good at reading and has that skill. However, Emma's fluency is not at the level of most 3rd graders. This might be because Emma appears to have a low self-concept. That low self-concept will translate into a low self-esteem, not very confident. Emma reads aloud very softly and slowly, and often waiting to speak a word until she is sure she can pronounce it correctly. So her confidence is not there. So that's definitely going to be one of her goals, is to improve her confidence to increase her reading fluency. As you can see there, the rest of the scenario lets you know that Emma has all the skills. She's just lacking in that confidence. And then our last one here, I love our little Daniel, because with Daniel, he is quiet third grader who is naturally organized and thrives on structure. Daniel's mother reports that he tends to be focused on tasks even in play. He is diligent with academic tasks and especially enjoys hands-on science activities. When reading aloud in class, Daniel is able to read all sight words and decode most multisyllabic encounters. So he has those skills just like Emma. Daniel is not shy like Emma, and Daniel is not lacking confidence like Emma. But however, Daniel's fluency is not at the level of most third graders. He is a word by word reader and does not read with proper tone or expression. So that's pretty much how he's reading. He is not reading with a proper tone. He needs that prosody to be increased. So in order to help Daniel, his prosody needs to improve to help him read fluently. So I have given you pretty much the goals for each of these students. And now in your assignment, you need to look at your assignment, and you're going to fill it up here, and you're going to fill in for Mary, Emma, and Daniel. And these are the, in these columns is what you're going to include. So what I wrote in red, you don't have on your sheet, because what I have here highlighted in red is straight from the rubric. So the one sentence to write their goal, don't just restate what they have on there. You know that Emma's is not just reading fluently, but Emma's is going to be that confidence. Daniel has to increase his prosody, and Mary's going to have to get some help with the coding to improve her accuracy. Don't spend too much time on this. This section here is 4 points. One sentence, 4 points. This section here, you do want to spend some time on fluency and research base. Fluency strategies, use your textbook, use the Reading Rockets article that is provided to you in the resources. Identification of a specific strategy. So how are you, and also look for how to improve confidence in students such as Emma. So what you want to do is think about these strategies. What strategy would you provide for each of these students to help them with their specific goal? And then demonstrate best practices. You know, you want to be really clear about why this is going to be the best way to do it. And then implementation schedule. This again, you do have to have, it's 4 points, but you do need to tell me how many sessions are you going to have doing this strategy? Are you going to, and then realistic, meaning you can't say, I'm going to do it 3 hours for one day. You can't. You don't have 3 hours as a teacher to spend with one-on-one students. So how many times will you meet with them during the week? How often will that be? How long are you going to be doing this strategy? That's what you need to put in here. In the research-based rationale, this one you also have to spend a lot of time, and this is 14 points, which honestly I think it should be more, but this is the 14 points here. Justify. You need to justify in depth and skillfully cite. So this is where you're going to use an in-text citation, not a quotation. You're not going to just put a resource. You're going to put an in-text citation or a parenthetical citation. That means you need to cite why you're justifying this strategy. This strategy that I'm going to be using with them is going to help them because, and then as so-and-so stated in parentheses 2022, they stated that blah, 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 blah strategy helps students with this. Okay, so this is where you're going to do your citation, and you need 2 to 3 sentences justifying the select strategy. You feel free to use 4 to 5, but no more than 5 sentences on here. So you're going to do that for each of the students with a citation, and then at the end here on the bottom, it doesn't tell you, but please, since you're citing, list your references right below. And you should do it, and I'm going to show you this really quick. This is a good way to do it on using Word. So when you're going to cite to do your hanging indent, just go right here. See where it says paragraph? I'm up here in paragraph. There's a little box with an arrow. If you click that box with the arrow, right here where it says special, you're going to put hanging. And where it says space, you're going to put double, and it's going to make everything there as a double space. Boom. And now when you type, it'll go ahead and cut and paste, or you could type your references. It'll make it as a hanging indent. Okay. So for that, I'm going to leave you now, and just hopefully if there's any questions, let me know. But remember to follow this instructions. You have the video that you can pause at any time.